So I'm sitting out here listening to the birds and enjoying a beautiful spring day, but like many Americans, in fact 27 million of us over the age of 50, I can't hear the birds as well as I used to. So if you're somebody like that and you're knowing that you have some hearing loss but you're trying to avoid getting hearing aids, you may want to think again. Hi, it's Robin from SeniorSafetyAdvice.com, and I wanted to talk to you today about the relationship between hearing loss and dementia. I bet you didn't even know there was a relationship, but I personally was shocked to find out that there was one. So I have hearing loss that runs in my family. My father had otosclerosis, which is where the bones in the ear fuse together and you can't hear. And lately I've had a lot of problems with tinnitus or tinnitus. So I went to an ear, nose, and throat doctor because I realized that I wasn't hearing as well out of my right ear as I used to. So they did a lot of testing, and long story short, I do have moderate to severe hearing loss in that right ear, and they're now discussing either surgery or a hearing aid. So of course, at my age, I'm going, hearing aid? I don't want a hearing aid. I'm way too young for that. And a lot of us feel the same way. But then I started reading about how much of a correlation there is between hearing loss and cognitive decline and dementia, things like that, and Alzheimer's. And that's making me rethink it, because I'll tell you what, I'd much rather have a hearing aid than have to go through a cognitive decline like that. So as I said to you before, 27 million of us are in the same boat together, and we can't hear as well as we used to. But did you know that only 1 in 7 people over age 50 who have hearing loss wear hearing aids? But hearing loss is actually the third most common ailment in seniors or people over 50, behind arthritis and heart disease. So it's way, way common. So researchers at Harvard University started looking into wondering whether there was a correlation between hearing loss and a cognitive decline in dementia, particularly in dementia. So these researchers went ahead and did a study. They followed 639 adults over a 12-year period. And what they found was pretty earth-shattering, I think, earth-shaking, at least for me, when you're have hearing loss like I do. They found that if you have a mild hearing loss, your risk of dementia doubles. But if you have a moderate hearing loss, your risk of dementia triples. And if you have a severe hearing impairment, your risk of dementia is 5 times greater than the person who does not have that. So my hearing loss was put in depending on the range of the sound. I have moderate to severe loss in one ear. So of course I'm like, oh my gosh, let's fit me with a hearing aid right this second. So what is the deal? Why would hearing loss contribute to dementia? Well, it turns out that not only are you hearing, but with everything with the human body, things all go together, and one thing or the loss of something affects something else. So the idea is that when you have a hearing loss, your brain isn't processing things normally, and that's something that would stimulate your brain. So if you're not hearing normal conversations, or if you're not hearing the birds behind me, things like that, it doesn't activate those areas of the brain, and it actually can cause the brain to atrophy more quickly. In fact, brain scans in the Johns Hopkins study showed that this was true. So something else that was interesting is hearing loss actually affects your ability to walk safely, and it also can be a contributor to more falls. So that got my attention as well, because I'll link to the video, but I had a broken shoulder about 6 months ago, and I made a video about it. And now I'm thinking, I wonder how much my hearing loss impacted that, because I have it in my right ear and I tripped over my right foot, and that's what caused me to fall and break my shoulder. So the deal with that is, when you're walking, again, everything works in tandem. When you're walking, there are subtle clues that your ears pick up, and they can help your body adjust to balance and where it is in space. They can help these clues can help if your feet are hitting differently, your brain picks it up and makes minute adjustments. When you have a hearing loss, those things are muted. So your brain has to use more energy, more capacity to process the muted sounds that you're hearing and try to make sense of them, which means that in walking and also doing this, in effect, you're multitasking. So it takes longer for your brain to process these changes or the things, the clues that it can hear. And so it leads to a higher chance of falling. And again, when I was walking and I tripped, I wasn't even thinking of it. I had a bunch of things in my mind. I was thinking of my list of errands that I had to do. And of course, if I couldn't hear, it just makes sense to me that that was probably a contributor to my fall and my broken shoulder. So now you may wonder, and I do too, whether having a hearing aid will change how my brain functions and processes these subtle clues. And the Harvard researchers, they're actually putting together a study right now, which isn't going to do me a whole lot of good for a couple of years, but they're putting together a study to find out whether or not people who compensate isn't the right word, but can fix their hearing loss by having a hearing aid, whether or not that will reduce their risk of falls and their risk of dementia and things like that. So in the meantime, for me, I'm going to take care of it now. I'm not going to wait for the study to come out. But what I would like to encourage you to do is, if you have hearing issues, please go to an ear, nose, and throat doctor and have your hearing checked, or go to an audiologist and have your hearing checked. They can tell you whether or not you're losing the hearing and what you can do, what your options are. You can get a hearing amplifier if you're not wanting to get a hearing aid yet, because you make it, it makes you think that you're older. But I also would tell you, look into the hearing aids. They're not the same thing that they used to be, these big old clunky things that were over your ear and everybody could see. They fit inside now. My dad actually had hearing aids made for him about 2 years before he passed away, so maybe 5 years ago now. And they were really cool because they had 2 microphones in them. And he could actually turn off, one faced forward and one faced backwards. So if he was in a crowded room, like a dining room, he could turn off the back one and just turn on the front one, and then he could hear the people around him. It directed the sound. The other thing is it fits in your ear much better, like I was saying before, and in many cases they're difficult to even tell if you have them, especially if you're a woman and you can cover your ears with your hair. I bet you didn't know that Bill Clinton wears hearing aids. See, so if a former president is not too proud to wear hearing aids, you shouldn't be either. So make sure that you look after your hearing health as well as the rest of your body's health, and take care of that so that you don't have problems with balance or walking safely or heaven forbid, dementia. So anyway, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and please consider subscribing to our channel. It's free. You can hit that subscription bell down in the corner down there, and also hit the notification bell afterwards, and it will let you know as soon as we put out a new video. We do so every Friday with tips and tricks for aging in place safely, and we hope you will continue to join us. So until the next video, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.